Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, Virginia, and Proficient Nail Academy, downtown Johnson City. Spreading love is the Crown Cutz way at all times. And there we go. Boom. We back at it. Took some time off. We got my co-host in the saddle. My other co-host, he's coming. He's taking some time off. But hey, we coming at you live and direct. We got a special episode for you today. Coming out this Friday. It's going to be hot. It's going to be banging. It's going to be making you think about your career, what you want to do, what it's all about. Barber College Success. Introduce yourself, my guy.
Jordan Barr, Dave Baba, Studio 423, representing Bristol, Tennessee. Hope y'all doing good today. It's been, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Couple of weeks.
I'm glad to be back. I missed you, Craig, for the past 3 weeks. I was like, we doing it today? He said, we're going to take it next week.
Miss you too, man. Happy holidays. And we got a special guest. Again, just shout out to our sponsor, FeedSpot, for ranking us top 25 podcasts in the whole entire world. Top 25 podcasts in the United States. You pull up the top barber podcast, we up there either 1, 2, or 3. And that's major work we're doing for our fans, for our loyal listeners. We're going to bring some heat to you. We're going to keep bringing the heat. We're not going to stop. It's coming. Introduce yourself, my guest.
Hey, y'all. So my name is Elijah Rogers, all the way from Pikeville, Kentucky, which is basically, if you're looking on a map, it's as far east Kentucky as you can go, kind of in the backwoods, but yet in a thriving, growing city here in Pikeville, Kentucky. Yeah, good to be here. I feel like it's an honor and a privilege to even be asked. So I'm very grateful to just even be on here today.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be a really good show. We're going to come with some heat. One of the unique things about why I want to do this podcast is because Elijah has a unique story, and I want barber students around the country, around the world, to hear his story, because I think a lot of times we sit back and want to try something, want to do something, but our hearts is in it, but sometimes our head is telling us don't, because we have all these outside sources trying to hold us back from doing what we really want to do to make us happy. You know that type of way, Jordan?
Yeah, just so say that one more time. My bad, but I was zoned out, bro.
What you thinking about over there?
I don't know. I'm over here thinking about, because I made a video earlier and I was like, I don't know what I was thinking about.
I'm just talking about careers. Sometimes your heart is telling you to do something, and sometimes people get in your head and tell you don't do it. But your heart is telling you this is what's going to make you happy. And Elijah has a unique story, so this is what we're going to talk about there on the podcast. Come from all the way from Pikeville, Kentucky, which is a beautiful area, beautiful drive. We're going to talk about that part later. But that type of way when you was trying to get into the career and people trying to hold you back, to this is not what you want to do, pushing you towards
something that you like. Well, I know that when I was in school, my dad really used to talk me up about being a lawyer or a doctor. I really didn't. I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, I want to do whatever my dad thinks is best. But honestly, sometimes that's not always the best thing. You obviously want to do what you think is what you're supposed to be doing. You probably won't even know really what you want to do until you just do it. Most of the time, you just got to figure it out. You got to find it. I took that risk of going to barber school, and I fell in love with it. I just knew I liked art and I wanted to be creative, but I didn't know that barbering was going to be that pathway for me to actually enjoy what I like doing as a career. I won't even say it's a job; it's a career. It's amazing. It's definitely the most beneficial, and it's just amazing, man.
You gotta love what you do. When you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, and that's what it boils down to. Because sometimes we're doing things that we're just stressed out about. But imagine just being able to work up every day and put your feet on the ground, both feet, and just be happy to go do what you want to do. And that's what a lot of people out in this country, in this world, don't do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people settle too much for. Mm-hmm. I guess there's predicaments where you can't really, go out and try to find something that you really want to do, or do something that you want to do because you're in a predicament. It's kind of hard to. But I feel like I think it's worth it to try, at least try, because at the end of the day, when after years and years go by, you're like, dang, I wish I would have tried to do this, or I wish we would have tried to do that. Like, instead of just wishing, just do it and figure out. And if it don't work out, then it is what it is.
I know this guy, his name is Jimmy Cliff. He has a song that said, "You can get it if you really want. You got to try and try and try. You'll succeed at last." And that just kind of was ringing in my head as you were saying, just try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy Cliff. But Elijah, talk about yourself. Tell your story. Talk about before barbering. Tell us what you did before barbering, and then we'll talk about getting into barbering.
So what I wanted to start out with was, you just said it not even 45 seconds ago. You took my opening line, Greg. And this is what I wanted to say. So my dad would tell me growing up, he would always say, and my dad was a coal miner, because that's in this population, in this area, people usually are one of two things. They are either a coal miner or they're a doctor or a lawyer. We have a huge medical center here, which is, I'm not going to get sidetracked, but anyway, we have a huge medical center here, and that's what's making this population in this area grow so much, is the medical center. But you're one of two things. You're a coal miner, and coal mines is fading out, or you're in the medical field. And my dad would always look at me, and this was going to be my opening line. I was going to say, my dad would always say, if you find a job you love, you never have to work a day in your life. And that's what he would always tell me growing up. So, yeah, my dad was a coal miner, but at the same time, my dad would go on the courthouse steps 3 times a week in the mornings, early in the mornings, because he would work late in the evenings. He would go to the courthouse steps early in the mornings, and he would go and trade and sell knives, like old pocket knives, like old German Bokers, old case knives.
That was his love.
Yeah, and he would go and trade Rolex watches and trade Seiko watches and Bulliver watches and things like that. And that's what he would love to do. And He would look at me and he would say, "Son, if I could do this every day of my life, then I'd be happy." And it got to the point to where my dad was doing so well at doing that, just trading and selling knives and watches and stuff, that was his full-time gig, and he done very well at that. So all growing up, my dad would, if I had to miss school one day and mom was working, she would take me to dad on the courthouse steps, and I would sit there and I would watch him trade and sell with knives and watches and stuff with these people. It was so funny to look back on. So that's what he would tell me. And talking about myself, so I kind of took the safe route. I got into the medical field, and I started out. Here's how I'm not going to say at the bottom, because every single job is important. Mm-hmm. But I started out in housekeeping in surgery. So I would clean the OR rooms, and I would do that. Then I got to know the OR manager. And the OR manager in surgery said, you should, go back to school. You should do this and that. And so I looked at him and I said, I want to be a surgical tech in there. I think that'd be fun, So then I got into surgical tech. And then from then on, I got into assisting in open heart surgery. And from that point in open heart surgery, I became very, very close with multiple surgeons at Pikeville Medical Center. And I would have surgeons request, that I would be in their room. So I furthered that into basically assisting, a lot in almost every case. I'd be up there during the entire cannulation process, putting cannulas into the heart to go into open heart bypass.
Wow.
I would be
major.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about someone's life truly in your hands as well, because the surgeon can't just do the surgery by himself. People think of surgery as, well, the surgeon's doing it and nothing else, nobody else, nothing. But that's not the case at all. A surgeon cannot, especially as big a case as open heart, you can't do that by yourself. There's not enough, you don't have enough hands. So basically, as an assist, you are the second pair of hands for the surgeon, truly getting to operate on people. And that was my life. That was my career for 8-9 years. I went on to traveling as a surgical in surgical services. I would go and travel to different areas throughout Eastern Kentucky, doing different hospitals. And my last assignment was at the largest institution you can imagine, doing groundbreaking surgeries at University of Louisville Jewish Hospital, where I was even able to be on the second ever performed in Kentucky heart and liver transplant combo. We're talking about a 26-hour surgery.
Major. That is major. I mean, we do surgery.
Yeah.
We do surgical surgery on heads, line up, do that, use our
That's
shares,
right.
but not
That's
to
right.
that extent. So,
Yeah,
did you have to go to school? Did you have to go to school for this? And how long was the school process?
So OR Tech is 2 years, and then you have to go and do like 1 year of clinical based services to become an assist. So, but the thing is, though, is during that time, you know, you can still be working and things like that as well. You can still be working in the OR. You log your cases to meet certain performances, and you log so many cases and all that. But like I said, I always took the safe route. I always wanted, you know, I thought, you know, well, this is going to be steady income. And see, I had always had it in the back of my mind that I've always wanted to barber. And I'd always wanted to do that. It was just enjoyable to me. Like I just felt at peace.
Did you tell anybody that you wanted to be a barber while you was in the medical field?
Yeah, I did. I told I told a surgeon, a friend of mine. I told him that, and he said, "Well, you know, hey, I wanted to be a priest, but that didn't work out either."
he threw a curveball at you. He just wanted
he did
try and dismiss you for say like, "Shoe fly, don't bother me."
Yeah. That's what he said. He said, "Well, you know, I wanted to be a priest, but that didn't work out either."
So, what was your official title when you was in?
Official title was surgical assist in open heart surgical services, or you can also, there's two different titles. It depends on what you're doing at the time. You can be an ORT, which is an operating technician, or you can be a surgical assist and you're assisting on the cases. And to be honest with you, most of the time you're almost doing the same thing. And if you're going in there as an ORT, and a surgeon feels comfortable with you and they feel like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing, you can kind of give them your background, and you know within a couple of hours with working someone, hey, this guy can operate, or hey, this guy, you know,
just like a haircut. You could tell somebody can cut hair, somebody can't. When you sit in that chair, if they're sitting behind you all nervous and their confidence back and forth, they swear and they're like, and you ask them for a cut, and they're like playing with their thumbs, thinking about what to do.
Right. Man, this is what I'll give you an example. You know, you can be in the room for 2 hours, and if you're standing there holding your hands to your side, just watching things being done, or you can be in there doing things, helping retract the bowel back. And this is getting into open belly cases, because when you're in that field, you don't just do hearts, you do whatever. So if you're in a trauma case, you're holding bowel back. You're pressing lap pads against bleeding areas. You're trying to help control bleeding. Whatever the problem
that's serious
is,
stuff. That's some serious technical
you can either
stuff.
be a watcher. You can be a watcher or a doer. And so that was my route in surgery. And let me give you this. So I was working in Louisville. I had just got done performing that 26-hour surgery.
26 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I just got done performing that surgery.
I gotta take a nap. I gotta sleep after 10.
Yeah. So got done doing that, and I pull in with my camper. I had a camper where I was doing the travel gig and making great money doing that. I really was. I pull in with my camper, and my son meets me outside, and he says, "Dad, what are you doing home? You just left a day or so ago." And he goes, and I look at him, I say, "Well, son, I've quit my job." And this is my 13-year-old son. He goes, "You quit your job? Do you have another job?" And I said, "Well, not right now." And he said, "Well, do you have a plan?" And I said, "I'm kind of working on that." And he said, "Dad, you didn't think that through."
He's like, "Christmas coming up. What you gonna do?"
Yeah. He said, "Dad, you didn't think that through." So I come in the door and I look over at my wife and I say, I'm going to go and be a barber.
Mm.
And you can imagine what her mind, was like, oh, wow, this is, this is new. This is interesting. So my wife was, she was a little worried at the moment too. But at the same time, she puts faith in me also, and she knows that I would never, make a decision without having some kind of plan going on too.
So Jordan, listen to this. What goes through your mind?
I'm thinking
this is after nine. It's like almost 8.5, 9 years.
This dude is a real life old school barber. He's a surgeon and a barber now. Like, you got to think, this man could do. He could do a surgery and he could do it like
best of both worlds.
Literally, like that's dope though. That's so dope.
Of bloodletting.
Yeah,
but the important thing about that too, right? It's interesting because one thing barbers lack sometimes is having something to talk about, a conversation. And you hear barbers in school all the time talk about, it's difficult to start a conversation. I don't know what to say. But you have 9 years of experience. You can just talk about different types of surgeries, different types of things you've done from your first day to your last day.
Yeah.
What made you get out of it, and what made you jump into barbering? So it's unique. Did you get any more? You told your son, you told your wife. Did you tell any more of your family members, other people in the community?
No.
No. Why was that?
I think I was afraid, of people thinking, oh man, this guy's going through a midlife crisis, or this guy's lost his mind. What's wrong with this guy?
Get you a convertible.
yeah. Oh gosh. Uh-oh.
But okay, there it goes. But sometimes, a lot of times that happens. You have something in your mind, things that you're thinking about, things that you want to do, where your heart is leading you, and you're afraid to express that because you don't want the feedback, the negative feedback per se, or sometimes positive feedback. You might take it the wrong way because your mind is telling you, this is what's going to make my heart happy. This is what's going to make my heart happy. I want this job that's going to be fulfilling. I want this job that I'll be. And then people be like, you know what? You got to think about this. How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to do this? You're going to be losing money. But you still got to do things that makes you happy. Like your dad, he was a coal miner. Coal miners make bread. They make good money. But he's like, he trusted himself that going on the courthouse steps and trading watches, pocket knives, eventually he's going to be the best at that, because that's a trade that I've never heard nobody doing, but there's an avenue for that. There's an avenue, there's a lane for that. And he created that lane. And a lot of times you create your lane, it might not pop off initially, but eventually with persistence, with consistency, you will get what you need.
And my dad, when he was young, he would even go to the courthouse steps. And I'm talking about really young. And I was just telling my son this yesterday. He would go to the courthouse steps when he was young. And instead of trading pocket knives and watches and selling them, he would be shining. And I know this sounds crazy, but he really would. He would go and shine shoes. He was the shoe shine boy. He would go to the courthouse steps and he would shine shoes. So I guess, and you say, well, what does that have to do with barbering?
A lot.
To me, it boils down to having the willingness and the drive to want to better yourself, the want to get into a trade, the want to stand out, to be something different. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want, and I know that, I'm sure Jordan feels the same way. I don't want to just, and most of the barbers that get into this field, they don't want to, be just the run of the mill barber. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe people have it in their mind of I'm just going to be a barber and get through this and just go cut hair. I don't want to just cut hair. I want this to be an experience for people to eventually come into my barbershop one day and enjoy being there, not just come in and get a haircut. Yeah, there is going to be those people that want to come in and get that 15-minute cut or 20-minute cut. But I also want to be able to provide, I want to be able to provide an experience for someone. Go ahead.
Barbering is trendy right now, and there are a lot of people coming into this industry. Yeah. So it's important that you come into the industry the right way. Come to the industry and want to be a servant to the community. Come into the industry and want to be a servant to your client. Because a lot of times people come to the industry, they hear about this, that, and the blah, 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 this and that. And they're like, man, it looks fun. Even when I speak to kids in high school, middle school, I tell them, hey, the first thing you have to think about now is your community. You're looking at the local barber at the barbershop, you see him dressing nice. He might have a flashy car, doing some things, but it took some time to get to that. And if you don't have no patience, you might burn yourself out. You might get out of the industry faster than you got in.
Yeah, because there's a lot of kids that I cut. They're like, man, I think about becoming a barber. And I'm just like, that's cool, but I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot harder than what people think it is, because
it's some work.
Yeah, on Instagram and stuff, everybody makes it seem like it's easy, but those years, like, it might have took them 10, 11, maybe, a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 years just to get to where they were at. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of time, a lot of love, a lot of passion. Like, it don't just happen like that.
You have to have that burning desire inside of you to say, this is what I want.
And that's what's going to separate you from every other regular barber, because it soaks off of you. Like, people can feel it, they can see it, and it always comes back from the people that you get coming into your shop. So they're all like, yeah, I heard about you, the way your haircuts look, or you're a great person, or the way you dress, like, all that stuff matters. So
and it takes some time. You can't lift weights today and gain a muscle tomorrow. And a lot of people think that you lift weights today, you gain a muscle tomorrow. No, it takes some time. You got to be consistent. You got to grind this thing out to be where you want to be. To be a master barber, to be a top of the game, top shelf, anything is going to take some time, because you're building trust into yourself. Your community is building trust into yourself. Your clients is building trust into you that you're going to be consistent. One of the worst things consumers hate when they spending their money is people who are inconsistent.
You told me not long ago, we were at a school function together, and we were getting, we were there talking to kids, and it was, man, that was one of the game changers for me, just going there and talking to all those kids with you. We went there, we were inspiring kids, and you could really see the excitement on the kids' faces. And then we even had the teachers come back to us after it was over and say, yeah, the kids visited 20 different stations, but they enjoyed your all's the most.
Right.
And that felt great to know that, we were inspiring. And you looked at me and you said, barbering is not just getting a haircut. Barbering is an experience. He said, and this is what you told me. You said, you should be out, you live in Eastern Kentucky in front of lakes and mountains and things. You said, you should be out cutting hair in front of these lakes and going in front of these mountains. And the very day that you said that to me, I was thinking about that on my way home. And I was driving on the road and I see this overlook. It's an overlook station in Virginia. I think it's in like Wise or something like that. Maybe you all have heard of that or seen that. It's right on the side of the road.
It's beautiful up in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, all this area, right? It's beautiful, man.
So I'm driving home and I see that overlook and I pull over and I go out to the edge of that overlook and I set up all my barber supplies and I'm like, okay, people are really going to think I've lost my mind now. And I was just like, send me somebody that would want a haircut, a random haircut in the middle of the day, at an overlook outside. And sure enough, man, within 10 minutes, this guy, he's a tattoo artist. He comes walking up with his wife. And I look at him and I say, man, so I'm in Barber College at Crown Cutz Academy. I'm wanting to show people, that getting a haircut is not just a haircut, it can be an experience. So is there any way that you would want a haircut today in front of this beautiful overlook? And he goes, man, I'm a tattoo artist. I love this kind of stuff. Let's do it. He said, can you fade? He said, can you fade? I said, well, I'm learning to fade. I can absolutely, we can fade you up. And he said, let's do it right now. So he takes his hat off. He looks at his wife and he says, record this. So she's recording for us. And within 10 minutes of me setting my stuff up, man, I had a haircut. And the guy even pays me. I told him, I was like, no, you're doing me a favor. You're doing me a favor by letting me do this. And he goes, no. If we're going to do this, I'm paying you for this cut. So he pays me.
The relationships, man,
it's two industries that are kind of as far as creativity and and the passion for you got tattoo artists who are passionate about what they do. It's kind of the tattooing and hair barbers are really they clash together a lot. I feel like that's just my opinion, but
I think so.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about this commitment though, Elijah, because you drive this. Well, before we talk about that juicy part, after you told your wife and your son that you want to go in barbering, how long after did you look into a school and you said, this is where I want to go?
That was on Wednesday, and I started making phone calls on Wednesday evening. That day, my wife's sitting here beside him, and she looked at me. She said, "She is."
How you doing, wife?
she looked at me and she goes, "Well, if you're going to do this, then you've got to get on it." So literally, leave my job, drive straight home from Louisville, Kentucky, which is a 3.5 hour drive. I'm on the phone that evening, looking up Lexington, Kentucky Barber School, Louisville, Kentucky Barber School, because there's nothing close by. I look at Johnson City, Bristol, all of these areas, and I start making phone calls, and that's when I got in touch with Dana. Dana Cash.
Dana's wonderful.
Dana's dope.
Yeah, she is, and you know what? She wasn't available to take my call at that moment, but I left her a message, and she had left for the day. I think she was maybe even at home, and she still took the time to text me from her home and stuff and letting me know some information. So yeah, back to your question. It was that evening that I got on the phone, and one of the biggest struggles that I started worrying about was when I went online and I started researching, because I didn't know how much it was going to cost for Barber College. I didn't know anything. I just knew I wanted to be a barber. So I get online and I start realizing, oh man, Barber College is very, very expensive.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, but I didn't realize how much it was, though. Mm-hmm. So when I start seeing numbers, I'm just going to throw out some numbers that I start seeing from different barber colleges. When I start seeing numbers like 17 grand, 15 grand, 13 grand, 14 grand, I start seeing those numbers. I'm like, oh man, I might be in some trouble here, just because, even though I was making good money, I don't care to say this, I blew a lot of it.
Right.
I like, one of my biggest weaknesses was cars, and souping up my vehicle and stuff. I had a nice car and stuff that I was always working on and putting money into and stuff. So I didn't have that huge reserve of, say 15 grand, 17 grand or whatever in the bank to pay for that. And then, so I started looking at, well, how can I do this? How can I make this work? And here's the truth. I did not even know that financial aid was a possibility or a thing to be a barber. Didn't even have a clue about that.
Yep.
Didn't even have a clue. And here was one of my struggles. Whenever I started looking into barber college, not many barber colleges in this area. And when I say this area, there's nothing close to me, but even 2 hours away, hardly nobody takes financial aid.
Right. So
I'm
it's
serious.
difficult at times for students to go to school without financial aid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It definitely is, because, even Lexington, which was a 2 hour drive from here, no barber college in Lexington takes financial aid, and they are at that 15 to 17 grand mark. So that's when I did find Bristol, Crown Cutz Academy.
So talk about your commute. Your commute is how long is your commute every day?
Yeah. So my commute every day, when I leave the house, it's a 2 hour and 15-minute drive to Crown Cutz, Bristol, and then 2 hours and 15 minutes drive home. So I'm driving 4.5 hours daily, and an entire tank of fuel daily. And that's 5 days a week.
And that's a commitment people don't realize. And
oh man.
I'll share a story with you, and I probably said it to you before. When I was getting my instructor license in 2014, I kind of had a similar situation. I called Knoxville, which is an hour away. They said they don't have the instructor program because my goal in opening the barber school was you have to be an instructor opening the school. I called Knoxville. I called Chattanooga. They didn't have no program. So here I call Nashville, which is a 4-hour drive from Johnson City. And it's like, yeah, come down. We got 2 barber colleges, and we do offer the program for instructors to get your license. It's about a 6-month, 5-month program. You do things right, we'll get you in. And I'm like, and I was sitting there like, man, this is the big thing. This is going to be, how am I going to do this? And like, this is going to be a major sacrifice. And I'm cutting head, telling some of my friends while I'm cutting head, I got to make this move. It's going to be a sacrifice. One of my friends stopped me and looked at me and said, hey, Craig, that's not a sacrifice. That's an investment. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your future. Is this something that you love to do? This is going to work out. And then that just changed my attitude the whole time. That 4-hour drive to Nashville, even though I was doing it once a week, 4 hours on Mondays. I drive down on Mondays and go to school all week. And on Saturdays, I drive back to Johnson City, which is another 4 hours, and then work 1 day a week. But at times, if you really want it, man, you got to try, and you succeed at last. You know what I mean? So it's an investment at times that, and would I take that investment again? Of course, 10 out of 10 times, because seeing where I am today, knowing the things that I've been doing, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And I say this to you, Elijah. I mean, everything that you're sowing right now, you're going to reap. Yeah. Everything you sow, you're going to reap. So, and it is a commitment, it is an investment, but the things that you're doing you're gonna reap what you're sowing. And if you're a Christian person like myself, believe in God, hey, it says that. I mean, and we see we till the garden and we hope to get fruits and vegetables. That's part of it. You're transitioning and just your commitment and driving to East Tennessee. What is that drive like, by the way?
Well, it's kind of one of those things. You probably shouldn't be doing this, but I will say this: with that much driving, you get kind of bored. So right. the phone ends up in the window on a phone stand, and there's a lot of YouTube going on. A lot of barbering YouTube.
That's not. I wouldn't say it. Well,
I'm not gonna say we don't advise.
We don't advise it, but that's
listen to a podcast. Listen to a podcast.
Yeah. I do not advise watching YouTube, learning how to cut hair while driving.
No, we don't condone that. No, we're not saying that at all. But one of the good things is, though, it helps you. For me, when I was driving those 4 hours, right, it was helping me think, and it was just giving me some mental clarity and just helping me think things through. And because I'm a thinker, and my mind goes 100 miles a minute with ideas, and I can come up with an idea just from talking to someone who's going through a hard time. If they tell me a situation, I'll come up with something for them to do to help them get out of that rut. But so for me, that 4 hours was like one of the best things for me, because it was just my time to be by myself and think, because people underestimate that time to be by yourself, because in a daily life, we don't get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those things are important at times because it helps with your mental health. It helps with some thoughtful things that you can go through and keeps you on track of things that you have to do.
But you got to make sure those thoughts stay positive, though, because because it's very easily when you're by yourself driving that far.
Yes,
you're kind of like, oh man, did I have I got myself in a mess here? Did I do the right thing? So you got to keep positive.
Yeah, of course. There's going to be that subconscious mind coming in. You know what I mean? Because that 2:15, that's a long drive. You know what I mean? That 4 hours, that's a long drive. But understand that in life, when your heart is leading you in a direction, when your heart is taking you to a point of happiness, there's no greater satisfaction after you get there and you see all your hard work, because it builds character and it shows that adversity that you went through of investing in yourself. So you can really say it was worth it.
Well, I will say this though. This is the only thing that I've done that I've always chased money. I've always just been you know, I got to get to the next level of making money. I gotta make this much money. Even whenever I was looking at contracts when I was a traveler, well, I made, you know, I won't. Let's see. I'll say this. You know, if I was making 2,500 a week, if I was making $3,000 a week at the last contract, I wanted to be making 3,500 a week at the next contract.
Right.
So this is the only thing that I have done where, you know, I've made decent money and I've made great money in the past, but this is the thing that I want to do, not chasing money, just because I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and I worried at first, you know, I was like, oh man, you know, am I going to make good enough money to, you know, to provide cutting hair? But that's where I have learned that it's not just cutting hair. And truthfully, you know, before I went to barber college, would I have ever dreamed that I'd be learning to color hair? Would I have ever dreamed that I would be learning to style long hair? What, you know, I did have the mentality of I'm going in there to cut these old guys and get them out the door. You know, I don't know.
Just do a fade. Just do high and tight.
Yeah.
No, man, the industry is so much more than that, and that's where you start evolution of just start making good money for yourself when you don't just label yourself as just a cutter. And a lot of, and that's a good point you just brought up, because a lot of students come to school and they don't want to cut long hair, they don't want to color hair, and then they realize when they leave and get out that they made a mistake, because people are coming to you because they think that they know that you are a hairstylist. And they want a certain type of service from it. When you tell them that you can't, you feel a certain way. And you resort back to that time you was in the classroom when the instructor was like, hey, this is the opportunity, do your practicals. And you was running from them, hiding from them. But now when that challenge meets you, you kind of kick yourself in the butt. Be like, oh man, why I ain't do this? I had the opportunity to do this. And then you want to come back and get it.
Yeah.
Get it all at once while you're there. That's important.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
Yeah,
that's it. Good job. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, that's it.
and then you become a well-rounded hairstylist where there's no challenges that coming at you that you can't handle. Because
you gotta go ahead.
Yeah. No, so the thing, and we see it all the time in school. There are lots of people who just hide from that, but we have people like yourself now who understand. Hey, I want to be well-rounded.
Yeah. I visit my barber shop, and when I say mine, I mean the shop I'm going to be working at. I'm very fortunate in that aspect too. I do have a shop I'm going to be working at that's already in the plans and all that whenever I get out of school. So I'm at this shop on my day off from Barber College, and because I go there pretty often on my days off just to try to learn, just to try to be in the environment. So I'm there, and this young kid comes in with his mom, and this is the shop I'm going to be working at. And he comes in and he says, "Can I get a perm? I want my hair cut on short on the sides, but I want a perm on top."
Oh, man.
And the barber, the guys in the shop, there's 4 of them. All of them had to look at him and be like, we don't have the stuff here to do that.
Oh, we don't
have the stuff here to do that. And I just in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I do perms almost every day at Crown Cutz in Bristol. Shoot, I'm going to make sure, you know, that's what turned a light on to me. I'm going to make sure that I do have that supplies there to be able to offer that service. So,
that's going to set yourself apart.
Yeah.
You can't think about how many barbers are in that situation now, and what they do to cover up and say, I don't have the supplies for that.
Yeah,
a lot of them just can't do the service. A lot of them just can't do the service. I mean, and I would say probably more than 50% of barbers can't do a lot of services besides a fade.
Yeah.
which is kind of sad because the opportunity there is there for you to learn while you're in school. But most barbers just want to work on their strengths, which is just doing the fade and doing the lineup. That's what they see. But you want to be able to do a perm. You want to be able to do color. You want to be able to do the whole gambit because that's what's going to set you apart. The more you learn, the more you earn, hands down. You can't, it's undefeated.
Yeah. I will
And
say this. At first I was aggravated. I don't care to tell anybody, even the owner of Crown Cutz.
right.
uh, my first month at Crown Cutz, you can ask my wife. I would come home and I was like, I've went to the wrong school. I've messed up. I've messed up. I'm not going to school every day to learn how to cut hair. The only thing I've been doing is taking these rollers and learning on base, off
All
base,
base.
half off base, and I've been learning how to roll hair and do piggyback perms
right.
and all this that. And I'm just like, man, have I messed up going to a school where all I'm learning how to do is put rollers in?
That's everybody's first impression of it when they first come in.
Yeah, most
of them, yeah. I was the same way a little bit. I was like, dang, bro, when am I gonna
and
get the cut?
And that's being transparent. That's what this podcast is about, to let people know that, hey, your first initial thoughts, sometimes we have to get you right. We want you to be well-rounded because we understand from experience that the fade is going to come, the haircut's going to come. But if you don't do the tough things early, you get comfortable with the fade and you don't want to do nothing else. So when a little kid come in the shop, say he wants a perm, you got to turn them away.
Yeah, because I mean, now a little kid comes in the shop and I don't have to spend 30 minutes trying to figure out how to section his hair because, I know this sounds crazy too, but one of the things that I struggled with my first couple of weeks was parting the hair, sectioning the hair. And I was just like, yeah, I'm because I would part those lines and then I would have my instructors come over to me and they'd be like, no, you're gonna do that again.
No mas.
No, do that again.
Yeah, that was actually one of the hardest things for me to do because Miss Dell, one of the instructors that used to be there, but Miss Dell is a great teacher. She used to be really strict on me when it came to parting the hair because I couldn't really get it right. It'd always be slanted, or I wouldn't saturate the hair wet enough to where I could get a part because she'll come over there and do it perfect the first time. And I'm like, how do you do that? I just don't understand. Like I'm doing the same thing, but it's not as clean. And it's just like, you just have to, it's a lot of stuff that goes into it that actually makes the hair easier to part.
Yeah.
Because if it's half wet, half dry, it's not going to be easy to part. It has to be fully saturated.
See, and now you become the hairstylist. So you're not even consider yourself a barber, no. You call yourself a hairstylist, but you're not turning down no services. And that's when you start making money. And then you be able to sell more product. And you be able to do this, you know what I mean? So because, it's good to have that high and tight, that quick get up 5 minutes. But now there's kids who ask questions. There are people who are grown up who asking questions, who's watching TV, who's watching YouTube, watching these stars, and like, how do I get my hair like his? Yeah. It's faded on the side and the mullet is curly. How do I get that? Yeah. I want that. I want that nice mullet that's curly in the back and faded on the sides. What a part. And now I'm only a barber. I can only fade it. Yeah. I used to be that. I used to be that barber.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is all four of those barbers, and again, those are gonna be my coworkers, and that's not me putting them down in case they were to hear this. They had to look at him and be like, there's this shop right down the street, which is a cosmetology shop, that could probably get that for you today. And again, guys, if y'all are listening to this, it's not that y'all done anything wrong. It's just, I want to make sure that I have those products in house so that way I can offer that perm and stuff. And that's just good business. You know what I mean? That's nothing against anybody or anything like that. That's just, that's just wanting to be able to provide, as much service as I can.
But like you said, and those guys understand, you're not shooting them down, because a lot of times, like even in school, you will get some students who their insecurities will be, they don't want to do perms. So because they don't want to do perms and do other services, they will be negative and try to get another students to fall into that trap and say, why are you doing perms? I hate doing this. And not understanding that, hey, you holding yourself back. You are delaying your progress. You are delaying your gratification of being a master barber. You are delaying the process.
Yeah. One of the biggest tips that I've gotten so far at Crown Cutz, because clients do give us tips after we provide them a service sometimes. One of the biggest tips that I've gotten so far was not from a haircut; it was from a perm.
You see what I'm saying? Look at that. So imagine you come in, and another thing I want to talk about too, that I was thinking about this, and we're gonna talk about this, and as we wrap up, I know we said 30 minutes, we're gonna wrap up. Elijah, what'd you pick up from this podcast today? What'd you get from the podcast? What'd you learn from it? Even though it was about
what did I learn? I learned, just like I had never met Jordan before. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm talking to, I guess you could say, fellow brothers. Yes. This is what I feel like that I've learned today, that barbering is, you're not just by yourself. You kind of have a network.
There's a community out there.
Yeah, that's what I feel. That's what I've learned today. That there's a network for barbering, and you're not just on your own.
Yeah, we got a strong community. We got a strong community out there, which is big. What about you, Jay? What'd you get about from the podcast today?
I know that Elijah is a dope dude. Is to come from a freaking dang near doctor to being a barber. That's amazing. I hope you keep doing and striving to be great, bro. I feel like you're going to be great for sure, 100%. I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to come do a class, and I'd like to meet you in person for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, I think it's major, because what this podcast is going to do is going to really open the eyes for a lot of people out there who are thinking about trying to change their careers, not just to barbering, but to something to follow their heart. Because there are a lot of people out there who are just kind of stuck and don't understand that, hey, your happiness is going to be your happiness. Your happiness is your happiness. It's your journey. And if your journey is paved by someone else, you might fall into a pothole because you don't know what kind of road you're going down that they paved for you. But if you pave that road, your happiness is going to reside in you, because you know exactly every nook and crannies of that road that you paved. And you're going to be happy with it. But you let someone else pave your road, it's going to put you in a direction, put you in a position that, again, you might run into a pothole. And who wants to go into a pothole? That damages your car. You know what I mean? So again, this was major, man. And talk about your full name, where you at in Pikeville, Kentucky, and where you're going to be cutting at, Elijah.
Yeah, so full name is Elijah Rogers. I'm going to be cutting at American Vintage Barbershop, and that's in Coal Run. It's probably the busiest barbershop that I've ever seen in my life. I've never been to a barbershop ever in my life, even in Bristol that I've been able to visit. I've never seen a busier barbershop than this. I'm talking from the time that they open the doors at 8 a.m., there's 3 people waiting outside. When they have to lock the door because there's still people coming at 7 p.m., it's the busiest shop I've ever seen. So I'm looking forward to that.
What's the name of it again?
American Vintage Barbershop.
Shout out to American Vintage. We're going to come out there and check you out. We're going to visit one day.
Yeah, I'm going to be cutting there and right here in Pikeville, Kentucky, and Eastern Kentucky. So good things are on the way for Eastern Kentucky for barbering and hair care and
yes, sir. You're going to turn the light on up there. Actually, we have 4 barbers who drive from Kentucky. We have 4 of them who drive. So shout out to those guys. There's a need for barber school in Eastern Kentucky. I mean, we got 4 guys driving 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes every day to go to school. And I appreciate you guys coming through. On the sky's the limits. Jordan, what's your lasting words?
Man, keep grinding. Always keep that positive mindset. That's very important as far as being in school. I think that really is what's going to make or break you as far as being a great barber. That positive mindset. Don't break that positive mindset. Always think as you're going to get better, keep improving, and you'll get definitely where you want to be at.
And if there's someone listening out there, we have a ton of people we have a ton of listeners. What are some advice you can give to some of our listeners out there, Elijah? Coming from where you came from and what you've been through, what you're going through, and what you envision.
Your background doesn't define you. Your background doesn't define you. Your culture that you grew up in doesn't define you. You make your own culture. You make your own future. And just like me, I'm the son of a coal miner. I didn't go into the coal mines. I I chose the route that everybody recommended to me. Go into the medical field. That still doesn't define me. Yeah, it taught me discipline. It taught me structure. It taught me to pay attention to detail. But I feel like all of those things are going to be, going to make me a better stylist, a better barber. So that's what I would give advice to anyone is, your past doesn't define your future.
Follow your dreams. That's it. Follow your dreams. Follow your heart. And again, when you have this passion, when you find your passion and you have that burning desire inside of you, you're on your way. You're on track. And that's what it's about. Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy in Johnson City, Tennessee. Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, Virginia, accredited program where we take financial aid, FAFSA. We're on track with that. Also, we work with Eastman Credit Union, which is a great program. They do our financial aid for other schools. And also now we have Proficient Nail Academy, downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the JC way, that's what they say. But no, we taking it back. We rewind that. Spreading love the Crown Cutz way is the only way. And that's how we do things. Again, if you're looking for a change of a career, we offer cosmetology, aesthetics, barbering, and manicuring program. If you're looking to change your career, hit us up. We enroll students first Tuesday of every month. We have an enrollment class coming in for December, today. Coming into the new year, 2024, we hope to have another great year. And again, it's a process. You can't lift weights today and gain a muscle tomorrow. Take your time. Everything happens in time. It's a reason, and it's a season for things to happen. So be patient and just trust the process. Again, peace.